Good evening. Now I know what you're thinking, oh great, a video about court cases. I'd rather watch paint dry, or better yet, watch someone else watch paint dry. And normally you'd be right. The legal system can be as mind-numbingly dull as a C-SPAN marathon hosted by a particularly lethargic sloth. But right now, across America, something is happening. A series of legal battles are brewing, and they're not just dusty arguments over comma placement in a 19th century statute. These are high-stakes legal dramas that make you lean in. Consequences will ripple out from the courtroom into your daily life. These aren't just abstract legal theories debated by people in robes who look like they've just woken up from a very long, very serious nap. These cases are unfolding in Texas, California, Virginia, and at the steps of the Supreme Court, a seismic shift in the legal landscape of the United States. So buckle up. Tonight we're going to pull back the curtain on the 9 cases you absolutely need to know about, and the verdict is coming sooner than you think. Let's start in a state that's become something of a legal laboratory for, let's call them, adventurous new laws, Texas. The case is Texas versus Margaret Daly Carpenter, and it sounds like the title of a gritty TV movie, which is fitting because the stakes are incredibly high. At its core, this case is about abortion pills, but it's really a battle over how far a state's power can reach. Texas, having made its feelings on reproductive rights painfully clear, is now trying to prosecute a woman for allegedly helping someone in Texas get abortion pills from out of state. It's a cross-border legal skirmish that tests the very limits of state jurisdiction. Essentially, Texas is arguing that its laws can somehow follow its residents across state lines or even reach out and grab people in other states who are doing something that is perfectly legal where they are. Think about that for a second. It's like Nevada trying to arrest you in Utah for jaywalking, or California sending a cease and desist because you thought about putting pineapple on a pizza in Arizona. It raises a fundamental question: where does one state's authority end and another's begin? If Texas wins, it could create a chaotic legal minefield where states are constantly trying to enforce their laws on the citizens of other states. It would effectively build invisible legal walls around states with restrictive laws, chilling speech and conduct far beyond their borders. It's a legal drama delivered right to your mailbox, and the final ruling will have a return address that says, "The future." From a fight over the beginning of life to one at its very end. Let's turn to Ramirez versus Collier, another case originating from the Lone Star State, because of course it is. This case involves a death row inmate raising constitutional questions about cruel and unusual punishment. Ramirez is challenging the state's execution protocols, but not in the way you might think. It's not just about the drugs, it's about the right to a spiritual advisor present audibly praying, laying on hands during final moments of execution. Texas argues this would compromise security and the solemnity of the execution chamber, which is a truly wild statement. You're about to inject a man with a lethal cocktail but worry his pastor's prayer might disrupt solemnity? That's like worrying about the carbon footprint of a volcano. This forces a grim intersection. First Amendment, Eighth Amendment. Does religious freedom extend to the gurney? When does denying final spiritual comfort become gratuitous cruelty? The Supreme Court has weighed in partially. It's a case that asks not just how we execute people, but what it costs our humanity. Soto versus United States. Massive class action lawsuit. Target: Uncle Sam and federal programs. Allegation: systemic discrimination in federal benefit distribution, Social Security, veterans benefits, housing assistance, agricultural subsidies. Plaintiffs say it's due to outdated formulas, bureaucratic inertia, implicit bias, a giant pot of money meant to help people. The ladle has holes. Those holes are bigger over some neighborhoods. The lawsuit wants to patch the ladle. Now for a case that you can literally smell in the air: Environmental Protection Agency versus Calumet Shreveport Refining. This one is a classic environmental showdown. On one side you have the EPA, the federal agency tasked with making sure companies don't treat our atmosphere like their personal garbage can. On the other, you have a major oil refinery, Calumet Shreveport. The EPA alleges it has been playing fast and loose with emissions regulations under the Clean Air Act. The dispute centers on whether the refinery installed required modern pollution controls, and whether it accurately reported emissions of harmful pollutants like sulfur dioxide. That pollution affects the health of surrounding communities, often low-income and minority populations. Calumet disputes the claims. It's a high-stakes game of legal chicken, with the health of thousands hanging in the balance, because it's a test of the EPA's enforcement muscle. A decisive EPA win would send a powerful message to polluters nationwide. Staying on the environment, let's head to the West Coast for City and County of San Francisco versus EPA. This is a fascinating role reversal. Here, it's not the EPA suing a polluter, it's a city suing the EPA. Because San Francisco, along with other cities and states, is challenging the federal government's decision to roll back clean air standards, specifically those related to vehicle emissions. The previous administration weakened these standards, and the current one has been taking its sweet time restoring them. Let's pivot from the fate of the planet to the fate of a single family's fortune. The case is Barnes versus Felix, and it is a tangled, thorny mess family law estate planning that could have you double-checking your own will. At its center is a contentious estate dispute following a divorce. Imagine this scenario. A couple drafts wills leaving everything to each other. They get divorced, and it's acrimonious. One of them dies before they get around to changing their will. Who gets the money? Now for a case that is both deeply personal and legally groundbreaking. LM versus Town of Middleborough, Massachusetts. The LM stands for a minor who is suing an entire town. Parental rights, school authority, who gets to make decisions for a child when a family is in crisis. These cases reflect a system in transition, grappling with how to deliver justice in the most painful and personal of conflicts. So, there you have it. 9 legal battles raging in courtrooms right now, each one a potential earthquake for the American legal system. From the air we breathe, the rights we have over our own bodies, the way our government treats us, how we define a family, the foundations are being shaken. These cases are far more than just academic exercises for lawyers in stuffy suits. They are the forge in which the next chapter of American law is being hammered out. The final shape it takes will affect every single one of us, whether we're paying attention or not, which after watching this, you now are. You're welcome. The outcomes are not yet written. These gavels have not yet fallen for the last time. That's why it's so critical to stay informed. These decisions will have real-world consequences that will echo for decades. This isn't just about knowing what's happening, it's about understanding the world that is being built around you, one ruling at a time. Which of these 9 cases do you think will have the biggest, most lasting impact on America? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss, let's debate, because this conversation is too important to be left just to the lawyers. Thank you for watching.